If you have little to no active movement in your affected arm after your stroke, this video is for you. Hi, I'm Elise. I hold a clinical doctorate in occupational therapy, and I'm also a certified stroke rehabilitation specialist. In today's video, I'll cover 4 evidence-based techniques you can use to help restart arm movement after your stroke. They require little to no equipment, and you can do them all at home. All right, let's get into it. First up is mirror therapy. So what is it exactly? It's when you place a mirror sort of down midline of your body, you're putting your unaffected hand in front of the mirror, your affected hand goes behind, and you're looking at that reflection. And because that reflection is mirrored, it looks like your affected hand is moving. And this essentially tricks your brain. Your brain sees that movement and starts to think that your affected arm is moving. So why does this work? Mirror therapy taps into these specialized brain cells we have called mirror neurons. And very interestingly, mirror neurons activate when we do a movement, but also when we watch a movement. Think about it like this. Have you ever been watching a movie and you see someone start to smile really big, or maybe they start having this big belly laugh, and you find that you start smiling or even laughing at the character on the screen? Well, those are mirror neurons activating in action. So how exactly do you do it? There is a protocol that I follow. I'm gonna have that linked down in the description if you're interested. It's a little bit of a read, but it's well worth your time. So you want a mirror kind of going down the midline of your body. You wanna be able to sort of hide your affected hand behind the mirror somehow and have your unaffected hand facing the mirror, just like I talked about initially. And then you want to go through movements and exercises with your unaffected hand. So you want to practice raising your arm, bending your elbow, twisting your forearm, moving your wrist up and down all around, and then moving your fingers. Every plane of movement that you can get that you can actively watch in the mirror. Now, from an occupational therapy perspective, here's what I like. This is very accessible. When you learn and understand how to do mirror therapy, like I said, go check out that protocol. You can build a mirror therapy box. You don't need to go out and purchase one of these $70 mirror therapy boxes. You can get literally a cardboard box that something came shipped in, as long as it's big enough to hide your affected arm behind. And then you can get a cheap mirror from the dollar store or big box stores and tape it onto the front. Boom, there's your mirror therapy box. Now, I do want to say mirror therapy can bring up some emotional responses. If you haven't seen your affected arm and hand move in a long time, seeing that action happening in the mirror may cause you to feel a lot of different things. It may cause you to feel sadness or grief, some depression. So it's not right for everybody. Just be aware that that's something that can happen. But if you're comfortable with that, knowing that some of those things may happen, it is a great evidence-based strategy to help kind of restart or kickstart that arm movement after your stroke. Strategy number 2 is mental practice, also called motor imagery. So what is it? This is essentially mentally rehearsing a movement in your mind without actually doing the movement itself physically. So why does mental practice work? Studies have shown that mental practice activates the same areas of the brain as if you were actually doing the movement itself. This means that you're training your brain to reconnect those pathways even if your arm isn't moving yet. So how do you effectively do a mental practice or motor imagery session? So there are several different models of how to do mental practice. My personal favorite is called the PETLEP model, and I'm going to read off what all that stands for. So you're thinking about physical, environment, task, timing, learning, emotion, and perspective. What does that really mean? You want these mental practice sessions to be as immersive as possible, to feel like you're actually doing the thing that you're imagining. Being in a nice, quiet environment that you can really focus is very helpful. And I'd recommend trying this around 10 to 15 minutes a day. So from an occupational therapy perspective, here are a couple things that I really like about it. It's an opportunity to practice movement without actually having any movement. And because you don't need any equipment at all, you can practice it anywhere, anytime that you have a quiet moment to yourself. And lastly, it can help you feel really productive, and it can be a confidence booster that even when you don't have that active movement in your arm, or you have very little of it, you're still doing something to push forward and continue to make progress with something that can actually make a difference. Our third strategy is action observation. What is it? This is where you watch someone in person or watch videos of someone doing either functional tasks or exercises with their arm that you are hoping to get back in your arm. And then after that, you might try to initiate some type of movement with your affected arm. So why does it work? This is going to stimulate your mirror neuron system in the brain. Like I mentioned before, mirror neurons are activated not only when you do movement, but when you watch movement as well, which is why this technique works. So how do you do it? Well, you can either watch someone in person, or you can watch a video of someone going through functional movements like brushing their hair, reaching, grasping, or someone going through an exercise routine with all of those movements as well. And then afterwards, you want to try to imitate or initiate those movements to the best of your abilities. Now here's the thing, this video is for people with a little to no arm movement. Even if you cannot get functional movement, that's okay. Initially, what we're looking for in terms of regaining movement from a therapist perspective is what we call a muscle twitch or a muscle activation. So let's say somebody's trying to raise their arm again. I'm not necessarily looking for that person to actually raise their arm, but what I might do is put my fingers on their deltoid and see if I feel some type of muscle twitch as they try to raise their arm up. So that's something that you can be on the lookout for yourself as well when you're trying a technique like action observation. Now, from an occupational therapy perspective, here's what I love. Again, this technique is so accessible. Even if you don't have someone in person to be able to watch, there are millions of workout videos online on YouTube. I have probably in the 50s, if not hundreds of videos on my workouts playlist that you can go check out, that you can go watch, depending on the type of movement that you want to get back. The last strategy is weight bearing. So what is it? This is trying to bear weight through your affected arm and hand in order to improve muscle activation and proprioception, or a better understanding of sort of where your arm is in space and how it's connected to you. Why does it work? This essentially works on trying to re-educate your muscles and rebuild the brain-body connection after your stroke. You're not only helping to retrain your proprioceptive system, so, where is my arm actually living? I don't feel it that well. It's very weak. We're trying to re-educate that system. You're also providing sensory feedback to the joints, building that stability by putting pressure down through your arm. You're hitting the shoulder, you're hitting the elbow, the wrist, even getting some pressure down through the fingers if you're able to get the hand flat. So how do you do it? Well, if you're just getting started and you have trouble keeping the elbow straight or keeping the hand flat, you can just start simply by leaning over on a surface, whether it's a table or a kitchen counter, and bearing weight down through your elbows and your forearms. This is a great way to start out. It's a great way to start retraining your system. Now, if you are able to get your elbow straight, your hand flat, even if you have to use, say like an air splint around your elbow or a paddle splint to help keep your hand flat, you can do this in standing, where you're trying to get those arms straight out in front of you and pushing up, bearing weight through those arms as you're standing. Now, in that position, I highly recommend that you have somebody else to help you. You also want to avoid weight-bearing activities if you've got swelling in your affected arm and hand. Now, if you have a little bit more movement, a little bit more control, you can progress to some higher level challenges like doing wall push-ups, or even getting into a quadruped position, which is being on all fours on whatever stable surface you're able to safely get to. Now, from an occupational therapy perspective, here is what I love about weight bearing. It allows you to start rebuilding that mind-body connection. Even if those sensations or that connection feels a little bit off, It allows you to start digging in there and gives you a jumping off point and somewhere to start. I actually have several videos that cover all of the techniques that I talked about today. I'll leave links in the description in case you'd like to check them out. But please leave me a comment and let me know. If you started to get arm movement back, what things helped you? I'm sure the community would love to know. As always, a huge thank you to all of the donors who make this nonprofit possible, with a special thank you to Heather G, Ryan D, Modus Nova, and Joseph M in our Empowerer tier on Patreon. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.